Good evening, ladies and gentlemen, live from the nation's capital. That's Washington, D.C., to you and me. It is the exceptional one, Ken McClinton. And, my friends, we are not ashamed of the good news of conservatism, for it is the power of liberation, first to the Republican and then the socialist. You're listening to us live on SHR Media. You're listening to us live on Rebooting Liberty. You're listening to us live on High Plains Pundit Media. And ladies and gentlemen, I want to extend my fullest and most sincere uh, condolences to the Butcher family, Dan and Jane Butcher, but also ask their forgiveness as I was not able to actually attend last night's radio broadcast after a weekend of lobbying on behalf of advocates for the Religious Rut Law. I sat in my chair and I prepared myself for the radio fest, and I woke up at about 3 in the morning. I was gone. I was exhausted. It was a long weekend. Thank you all so much tonight. Mary Brockman, my bouncers in the chat room. Dan Butcher is here with us. God bless you, Dan. Glad to have you here. And I'm quite certain there'll be others coming into the echo chamber known as the Exceptional Consider Show chat room. Listen, my bouncer who is here, Mary Brockman, whom I truly love. If you diss her, you diss me, you will be dismissed. Gone. Shot. Right? Out of here. Okay? That's the way we want it to be. Condolences because I couldn't be there. um, oh, man. I tell you. Also, Mrs. Biggs is watching tonight. Love Mrs. Biggs. She's been fighting on the battlefield with me. And quite frankly, she's tired too. Sometimes you find yourself fighting more against those who say they're on your side than those who are supposed to be against you. So I'll talk about that tonight because tonight's show is going to be dedicated to citizen advocates, marketing common sense in an unreasonable industry. We want you all to sit back and relax. At 10 p.m. Eastern Time, we hope to have the wonderful, the great Lonnie Poindexter with us to talk about the issues of the day. Whatever he wants to talk about. We hope that Lonnie Poindexter is able to join us tonight. We missed him last week. I'm quite certain y'all don't want to hear me all night long. I tell you. You know what we do every night before we go on the air, really get started on our particular show. Our focus is on pledging allegiance to the United States of America. And at one time, it was probably the most important thing outside of reading a scripture from the Bible in the classroom that people did in the school system. It was a reminder of, during the times of Vietnam, why millions of fathers were pulled away from the home. During World War II, why this nation decided to act as a liberating force for the people of Europe and to estrange the threats of communism and fascism from the land. A reminder when the space shuttle, fell out of the sky, that we are a nation subject to the divinity and providence of an ever-loving God. And while we strive to be as great in our humanity, He is always great in His divinity. The times that presidents have raised their hand and put their hand on the Bible to pledge their sincere authority under God to the people of America. Why do we pledge allegiance to the United States of America? It's simple. E pluribus unum. From many, one. One creator, many people who have chosen one great nation. I want you to find your right hand and I want you to put it over your heart. Look at the flag behind you and pledge allegiance to the United States of America. Let us begin. Woo! Wow, ladies and gentlemen, tonight I want to segue out of my prepared conversations. And I'm going to ask my producer to come back into the room because I can't get to my phone as quickly as I would like to. Hope my producer would come right on out and just hand me my phone. I'll just wave like this and maybe she will come. If not, I may have to. I'm just going to hoof it. Okay, here we go. Give me a second or two. All right, bam, bam. All right, we got it. Okay. All right. So I want to do something tonight because my friend is very sad tonight. And I'm very sad for him. My friend is about to lose someone to him that matters a great deal to all of us. My friend happens to be none other than the underground professor. And you all have listened to Mandy Sue online with us for the longest time period. She is just a beautiful, precious little dog. A dog that the professor brought home and cared for, looked after, washed and cleansed and all of that. Well, he received some very bad news today regarding Mandy Sue. Mandy Sue has been adopted by someone else. And as much as we think that men like us are hardened of heart and cruel and mean-spirited and don't understand people's dreams, illustrious desires for life and for the spotlight, and all sentimentality when someone so beloved you're about to lose. All that stuff really doesn't matter. So we are in the process of calling our beloved.
Please leave your message for 817.
Okay, so we're going to hang up right there. We were attempting to call the professor. Give me the professor's. He's doing a show right now. That's okay, Mary. Go on his chat roll and tell him. No, just give me his telephone number first. His radio show telephone number. I shouldn't have it memorized since I am the second urban conservative talk show host in America. Only behind my brother, the underground professor. And I want to just reach out to him and tell him I love him. That's all. And because I know his heart is breaking right now. You don't. When you have a dog that you truly love and truly admire, man, I'm talking the type of love that he has for his animals. Oh, that's real love. If you had to be taken by anybody to be loved, and it was the professor who did it, that's good loving right there. That's a man who really cares about his animals. He's doing his 500 show tonight as well. So we know what that sounds like. What a way to go out on the 500 show to find out that someone's going to take your dog. There we go. Okay, thank you, Mary. Mary is the best bouncer in all of the world. Period. There's no other bouncer but Mary. Are we going to call him? Yes, we're going to call him now. There we go. Let's call the professor on his show, on his marvelous 500 show. We're calling him on his 500 show. Hopefully we'll be allowed to get through his specific host. Apparently not allowing me to get through there.
Your call has been forwarded to an automated voice messaging system. 7.
Bam. Okay. So apparently we can't get through to the professor and tell him that we love him and that we care for him and that we really want, without a shadow of a doubt, for him. Yeah, I tried to call his BTR number. Apparently he's not answering that.
Hello, sir.
Hello, sir. It's a great privilege and honor to be on the 500th show of the Underground Professor.
Well, sort of.
Yeah.
Seconds.
Yeah. Let's see if I saved it in time. Oh, good. I did. I got 15 more minutes now. I just saved it. I had like 20 seconds to go.
Thank you.
So,
For a man who never calls you back, I'm worth 15 minutes. Thank you.
I didn't even know you knew my number.
Professor, I am giving up my commercial time period here so that we can hear about Mandy Sue.
You kind of broke up there. Say it again.
Now, we're giving up commercials in this quarter so that we can hear about Mandy Sue.
Well, she's purring right now. She's purring. Yeah. She's they're coming together tomorrow. Tomorrow night, and about 7 p.m. I'm losing her. Man, I got something. I'm not crying. There's something in my eye.
I know.
I have no shame in telling you that I've cried already. But, yeah, I don't know, Ken. I'm taking 2 weeks off, and after this, so when I come back, we'll celebrate UGP Radio on the 501st show. But I don't feel like celebrating or being happy right now or loving my neighbors. So so I'm going to take a couple of weeks off like Agador does. And she can't run away. She's low jacked. She's got a chip inside her. So that's just the way it is. You know, I'm going to follow the rules because I'm an honorable person and I believe in the rule of law. And this time it went against me. And it technically is my fault. I should have followed up and made sure that I adopted her, not just said I wanted to. But what I can't understand, Ken, is why someone, after you talk with them, and I talked to this lady, and I told her how important Mandy Sue was. I told her, you know, her life here, and I told her about the costumes and the radio show and the videos. Oh, hold on. Whoa, that's okay. That's better. Woo. And, well, that feedback killed me. And she still decided that even though there were 3 dogs she could adopt and she was going to adopt 2, she still decided that she was going to adopt one of them and Mandy Sue because Mandy Sue looks like her dead dog.
Wow.
It didn't matter how much I loved her or needed her. It was just, she looked like a good dog, and that was more important to her than Mandy Sue or my happiness.
Wow.
And that made me very, very angry. Yeah, Mandy Sue's gone. This is her last show with me. 7 o'clock tomorrow. Maybe I should have you in the Costa Rica. I've got a guy here that's part of the cartel down in Mexico.
See. No problemo. We take care of it. Just point it in the direction you want me to go.
So, yep, I'm only a foster parent, and someone adopted her after my living. I thought I had done the paperwork, and not the paperwork. I thought I had adopted her by calling up and telling him I wanted to.
Yeah.
But I should have followed through and did the paperwork. This is my fault. I only have myself to be angry with.
So you want me to call off? You want me to call off the guys who are on the way to burn down the animal shelter?
Well, it's not their fault either. Believe it or not, DFW Pug Rescue did everything they could to save Mandy Sue and keep her here.
Yeah.
You know, they probably did more than they should have. And that speaks volumes about what good people are with DFW Pug Rescue.
Wow.
So yeah, I don't think I'm going to foster anymore though. If I do this, I'll just adopt the next one flat out.
Yeah.
But you know, what are the odds I'm going to find another dog that purrs like Mandy Sue and is so patient and smart and fearless?
Yeah.
And,
well, that's the same thing we people at we people.
what do you mean, you we people?
That's what we say about you. We love the way you purr.
Taking a white guy when he's down, that's not very nice.
I thought you were black. Professor.
I might just adopt Agador now that I'm losing.
You got to. Agador's free.
Oh my goodness. Yeah. You know, I've already cried. I'm trying not to right now because it's terrible how I feel.
Yeah.
I'm just going to get out there and find out how loving you. Yeah, well, I would like to think that, but I'm never even going to see her. The guy that has the other dog that she's decided to adopt is going to come over tomorrow and pick this up. You know, don't ask me that twice. I might say yes. So I'm told she'll be treated like a queen at this lady's house, that she's adopted before and she really loves her pugs. But I just don't get someone who, after a conversation with me and she's heard what this dog means to me. You know, I mean, Mandy Sue taught me how to love again after my divorce, and I didn't think I ever would. I spent 10 years hating everything, and then this little thing came into my life. So, yeah, it's the way it goes.
It is the way it goes. And I
can't hide her. She's low jack. I thought about having a transgendered operation, put her in the female bathroom or the male bathroom. That's not going to work either.
Oh,
yeah.
This is really in all seriousness. This is very crushing. And as your friend, I just wanted to call and tell you that I love you. Peaches loves you. I know that it's very hard right now.
It is.
And there are no really perfect words to give anybody at these particular moments. There really aren't. All I can say to you is that we love you, and we love Mandy Sue, and we're praying for the best in both of you. Maybe there is a miraculous change of mind, or change of heart for the person who's listening or who may have heard the influence that both of you have on each other. And if not, what a wonderful thing to have had in one's life. Someone who could love you the way you need to be loved. And
thank you.
Mm-hmm.
If you could see the comments on the Periscope, there's a lot of people that are willing to commit violence on our behalf.
That's a conservative way to go.
You guys in Periscope, if you go to blogtalkradio.com/undergroundprofessor, then you can see the pictures. I put a whole bunch of pictures of me and Mandy Sue in the Blog Talk thing. So you can pick it up in archives whenever and watch the whole show. I explained the Colorado caucuses and how Cruz won legitimately and not, and that Trump and Drudge are all wrong on this. And explain why and the background of it, which is kind of interesting. And most people don't know it, so it's a good thing to do it. But I know, come on. You want your spot, don't you? Let me take your hat back on. Okay. So, yeah, thank you. I appreciate that. It's like losing a dog. It's like Mandy Sue be dead, you know, and that's rough.
Yeah.
For me.
Yeah. Yeah, that's it.
It's stupid, but I spend most of the day thinking about her. And then as soon as I get home, you know, I go scoop her up, and then she's in my arms the rest of the night.
Yeah.
So I hope she gets that kind of attention wherever she's going.
I hope she does too. We need to talk with you, Professor, about re-upping your contract, because really we had private discussions with Mandy Sue that included you. But since Mandy Sue's not going to be a part any longer,
I figure everybody's going to be cutting me off. They don't come to hear me, they come to see what outfit she's had.
That's right.
Yeah, I know. There goes my ratings.
We love you, Professor. We love you, Professor.
What?
And
What? Kim Clinton? Really? Huh.
You know,
I
she
can't say that on the air.
She's the first of your dogs that didn't bark at me when I was on the air.
That's right. Sue was talking bad about you. Something about cutting you, but I don't know. So, yeah, well, that's the way it goes, guys. Sometimes you win. You know, well, I have a friend in the Air Force, so he said, sometimes you're the windshield and sometimes you're the bug. Today I was the bug.
Yeah.
And that's the way that is. I just, you know, I hope she's happy. She has a good life. And I can't imagine her having to relearn everything. She's going to have to remap out the new house and figure out how everything is.
Yes. Yes.
You know, so, but she'll live with like 2 or 3 pugs. Evidently, this lady's husband has a pug, and she's adopting 2 more. So there'll be 3 pugs in the house. So at least she'll have several dogs instead of being by herself, you know, after being used to having all the dogs around her. She got used to, you know, with this pack here. So yeah, that's what I don't get.
Well,
the worst thing is, Philo, is that there were 3 dogs she could have adopted, and she even after talking to me, she didn't get the other 2. She took Mandy and one of the 3. So. And it's not like I could go and adopt a 3rd, because that one's with another foster, and I don't want to do the same thing to him that's being done to me. So
yeah.
And this is really good news in a way. When I adopted Mandy Sue, there were 100 pugs in the Dallas-Fort Worth area that needed adoption. Now there are none. There's that 1 pug with a foster parent, and that's it. And they're all 3 are blind, by the way. What are the odds of that? But,
wow.
Evidently, there's been this like instant demand of. You know, I hope she does. I told Mandy Sue to poo in her shoes, but we'll see if she can even find the shoes. But
it might be the purse.
Yeah, but they all these old people are adopting pugs because they're like the perfect dog to have in those, you know, retirement villas, you know, where you're with the assisted living and stuff. And so you know, they're adopting pugs like crazy. So there aren't, and there's no pugs coming up right now that people are getting rid of. So that's really good for pugs and for the DFW Pug Rescue. This is why people in New Mexico are coming to adopt Mandy Sue, because this isn't just a Dallas thing. This is going across the country. Pugs are becoming, you know, like it'd be like, you know, when Men in Black came out and Frank the Pug, everybody ran out and got a pug.
Yeah.
And you couldn't get one, you know, to save your life. And then the people got bored with them and started putting them back into the system, you know, and sending them to the rescues and stuff. And and that's what gave the high demand for all these puppy mills to do like what they did to Mandy Sue. Is there was such a high demand for pugs, so they got out there and they caged up these dogs and just kept them pregnant. So yeah.
I just want to say this real quick.
Yes.
For those who are tuning in, we will be talking about citizen advocacy a little bit later on, but this is much more important. Firstly, this is my very best friend, Dr. Michael Jones, who is the underground professor from out of the Fort Worth, Dallas area. Fort Worth if you're conservative, Dallas if you're liberal. And tonight we've heard both good and bad news. The good news is he's reached his 500th show on Blog Talk Radio. The bad news is on the day of the anniversary, he receives news that our favorite animal in America, Mandy Sue, is about to be adopted by someone else. I want to say to everyone, for those who are listening and understand what true love is, please, if you have need of picking up a nice dog who's just been let loose, contact the Washington Animal Rescue League. For those who are listening in Washington, D.C., their telephone number is 202-726-2556. That's the Washington Animal Rescue League, 202-726-2556, or the Washington Humane Society, 202-576-6664. You could pick up some wonderful dogs who really love you, and then you will understand exactly what the professor and Mark Levin go through as conservative top dogs of talk. Their dogs matter a great deal to them and would matter a great deal to you. Professor, first of all, for those who are listening and saying, wait a minute, how is it that Mandy Sue did we lose him? Did we lose the professor? I think we lost the professor. Yeah, we did. We lost the professor. Okay, call ended. Is the call ended? Yeah, call ended 15 minutes. There we go. 15 minutes gone away. We missed the professor. We hope to get him back on the air rather shortly this week. He normally comes on the air on Thursdays with us for New Day Black and Red at 9 p.m. Eastern Time. I respect his wishes to grieve. I want you all to know something. That dog meant the world to this man, my friend. Women, I want you to know something. A man who truly loves his dog, you probably will never be able to experience that kind of love with him. So you bear and grin it. But to have an animal who will listen to you, who will walk with you, who will watch you when you cry, watch you when you laugh, and share the good and the bad times with you, and you go out of your way to make certain that surgeries are performed for the dog, and the dog gets all of his shots, and you scold the dog when it does wrong, and you cheer the dog on when it does right. That's a relationship that you can't find in a lot of humans. So if you all would, if you have a few moments, just go past the Underground Professor's Facebook page. I know I'm asking a lot of some people, but I don't mind asking it because he's a good friend of mine. And just drop some encouragement to him. I'm not going to tell you it's like losing a human being. But again, a good friend and a dog, it's hard to come by. We'll be back with more of the best right after these messages. You're listening to the Exceptional Conservative Show live from the nation's capital. That's Washington, D.C.
Freedom Fest 2015. I think this is the best Freedom Fest we've ever put together.
Freedom Fest is truly international. There's people from all over the world that come to Freedom Fest, not just to talk, but also to participate in dialogue, participate in the panels, to participate in the audience.
So hold your breath, lock your seatbelts. I hope you're at your Wheaties today.
We are enslaved by government mandates. What light bulb you can buy, what car you can drive, how you heat and cool your home, to what health insurance.
Europe actually has allowed itself to be held hostage of this entire Greek situation.
They have the courage to debate. You have debates on foreign policy, on taxes, on what's going on in the world, on how to invest and how to run your own life.
He used an example of restaurants. Don't open a restaurant because it's so competitive you'll never make any money. Really? I mean, been to Chipotle lately? How many believe that Peter Thiel won the argument competition is overrated in America? And how many favor John Mackey's response?
So here's the moment many of you have been waiting for, myself included, and I think it's the reason why this room is completely packed all the way to the back as far as I can see.
I think I worked about 8 years to put together this debate.
I have to say, it's really kind of depressing to see people holding up the Reagan story, which is so obviously different if you pay any attention to the story, as that's the best argument? Really? That's the best argument?
The middle class and the poor are the people you say you care most about, are the people who've been hurt the most by these policies because they've had no income growth at all.
Thank you. They already left 2 waters for me. I'll probably only need 1. So I appreciate it.
In America today, higher education is controlled by a cartel. And they say, oh, let's take out a loan and pay for this. And no one bothers to tell them that the market for Greek philosophers has been tight for 2,000 years.
So in terms of its 2 major policy objectives, stable prices and a stable economy, the Fed has clearly failed.
And if the Federal Reserve actually did the right thing, the market would crash.
Every country in the world has a lower corporate tax rate than us. Can we fix that?
This, in my view, is the premier libertarian event in the country.
You probably meet the largest cross-section of philosophically based groups of any conference anywhere in the world.
Some of the smartest people in our country come together here to discuss the ideas, the challenges. This is an engaged group of individuals.
This is all about the mind. It's not about how fancy you are.
Feisty discussions, interesting people to meet.
I love it. This is my first time doing anything like this. It's not going to be my last.
The only place you get this many people who agree with me. Nobody, I live in New York. Nobody agrees with me.
You know, war is not the health of the state. War is the death of liberty and freedom. And that's a mentality that is particularly strong in the Republican Party, but it's also strong in the Democratic Party.
I want government to be this small. I want the individuals to be this big.
We are people when we are at our greatest that we lead by example. We don't jam it down anybody's throat. We don't force them to live our way. We don't nation build.
Very interesting. There's a lot of variety of stuff. Really.
Hear ye, hear ye. Freedom Fest Court is now in session.
We are gathered here in this great sovereign state of Nevada to decide the fate of the country's central bank, the Federal Reserve.
Please place your hand on this edition of Forbes 400 Richest.
It was a bubble in many markets, and that is simply mathematically impossible without the Fed creating the money to make it happen.
The Fed is guilty, 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 guilty. Court is now adjourned. God bless America, and may you always ride on the eagle of freedom. Hallelujah, and good night.
I'm Joanne Skousen. I'm the founding director of the Anthem Film Festival. And we are in our 5th year. We started in a little room on the 26th floor at Bally's, and now we've grown to huge numbers. In fact, we have a fabulous lineup of shorts.
A police officer can wear a body camera, but you as a citizen may not have access to that footage.
Live from Las Vegas.
We recognize that Freedom Fest is a big tent.
Well, I happen to like Rand Paul. I really do. By the way, in some cases, they'll build a new hospital for $1.5 billion. You could build 7 hospitals, 10 hospitals for that if you knew what you were doing.
We had almost 300 speakers.
Without a doubt, our most successful Freedom Fest ever.
And I just adore the experience.
it's like a saturation of the senses, a saturation of the mind. I learned so much. I come home with way too many books. I adore Freedom Fest. I'm definitely coming back again next year.
Ladies and gentlemen, I don't know about you, but I'm going back to Freedom Fest. I just want to tell you that. It's true. I am going back to Freedom Fest this year, my wife and I. I got news recently that Deborah Blair Frazier is also going. She's in our chat room tonight. Good evening. Glad to know that you were so duly influenced by this conservative here. No, it wasn't, because George Foreman's going to be there. And we rumored I'll be following up with Raynard Jackson. There's some big guests who will be attending, including the Grammy Award-winning singer, a few others. And I want you all to know, every person who registers, up to 5 people, just 5 people, okay? The next 5 people that register, because, and then notify me. You have to notify me at ken@theexceptionalconservativeshow.com. Send me a proof that you have registered and paid. You will be receiving, you can send it to me, there you go, the Freshman CD by Bria Marie. Now, Bria Marie, wink wink, is not the Grammy Award-winning songstress that will be there, but she is the Grammy-nominated songstress that will be there. See, I'm giving away a whole lot of stuff, so there you go. You notify me that you are registered, and I will make certain that you will. Oh, no, you'll be working, sister. You ain't getting this one. You'll get one of these 5. We're gonna give them away. But I would encourage you, and when you register, say in the remarks area that you're registering thanks to the Exceptional Conservative Show. You notify me at Ken at the Exceptional Conservative Show that you have paid. And I'm trying to get people to do. See, the reason I'm trying to do this now, because I know that there's something big coming, and we're gonna make a huge announcement. And then by the time we make the announcement, most people will have to pay a higher fee for attending the event, because May rolls around and there goes the discount of last year's fee versus this year's. And plus, you're going to have the big intro event with George Foreman. And ladies, I'm just telling you, go ahead and do it now. Get it out of the way before we make the huge announcement. And then you're saying, hey, it's too late. I wish I had. I shoulda, woulda, coulda. Please don't do that. Don't be the shoulda, woulda, coulda in your neighborhood. Go ahead and register for Freedom Fest. You're probably wondering, hey, Ken, how can I register for Freedom Fest right now? You could easily do it 855-850-3733. That number again is 855-850-3733. Freedom Fest, or you go to freedomfest.com, and I'm telling you, register now. And the first 5 people that notify me that they registered because they listened to tonight's show, and you paid. Don't be talking about you put your name on the notification list. I don't want to know that. I want to know that you paid. I will send you the Bria Marie Freshman CD. Now, some of you are old and don't understand how big this CD is. So if you want to give away something special for your kids, I want to let you all know they are all autographed. They are all autographed copies. All right, ladies, every one of these 5 is autographed copies by Bria Marie. So there you go. I'm not playing with you. We're gonna give you something good. I want you to be a part of. Get out there. Best that you can. Get out there. Ladies and gentlemen, there is so much big news coming. Okay, I was hoping to see Oh, somebody started some trouble up in the chat room. Oh, man, I tell you. But Mary had a great time last year. That was very big. Donald Trump was there. So we're looking forward to a wonderful, wonderful year this year. Just wow. There are lots of people in Washington, D.C. that believe that yours truly misled them regarding a bill. That somehow I am proclaiming something that's not true. And these are advocates who now question my character. They may also even question whether my daughter is dead, but that's another story. They question who I am as a human being, and that's fine. I want you all to understand what the founding fathers had to go through to believe what they believed and to make something happen. I wanted to go back also to Jesus for a moment. And I want you to know that I'm not accurately comparing myself to Jesus. For those people who like to use the term accurately. Comparing myself to Jesus, but here it is. Jesus once said that if they said these things about the green tree, imagine what they would say about you. Don't get caught up. Just keep doing what you're doing. I want you to know my inspiration is Jesus Christ. I'm letting you all know right now, I am not perfect. If you really want to know what I am, you can go to the Open Heart Closed Case page and you can scroll down just a little bit and you will see a picture of me. Yes, I am that vain that I put a picture of myself out there for you to take a look at. Because I want you to know exactly what I look like. And while you do not call me anything related to God, including, and I really appreciate my advocate friends who accuse me of being Satan. Thank you. Thank you. That's a step up from what you called me merely a snake. You're a snake. Okay. Well, that's a step up being called directly Satan. You know what I'm saying? I want y'all to click on there and I want y'all to see what you see. If you see a lion, that's me. And the phraseology that's listed there is most people are just mediocre-minded, cowardly conformists because it's comfortable and simple. I'm not one of those people. I want advocates to know something. If you are ever bigger than your cause is not big enough. If you are bigger than your cause, then your cause is not big enough. If you get in a tub and cannot leave a ring, you certainly were not dirty enough. Ladies and gentlemen, everything that you do has to be bigger than you. Because the simplest things are conformable. Anybody can do them. To be an extraordinary leader, you must be able to go into the den and sit down with the lions around you and never worry about being eaten. In order to be a tremendous conqueror of a culture of fear and death, you cannot be a one-act play. You have got to be able to run marathons without fainting after the first 100 meters. You must be so bold as to be condemned by both friend and foe. That is what a cause leader is all about. In fact, I want you to understand and paraphrase what Jesus once said to some folk. If I'm not offending you, then I'm not doing this right. Your cause should be an offense against others. So much so that you're not worried about what other people say about you. You're willing to pick up the cross and keep moving forward. Because certainly, there are those who are opposed to whatever you do, for whatever reason you do it, for the cause. They would like to bring the nail and the hammer so that you may lay down on your cause and be lifted up. Yes, that's the truth. The truth of the matter is that there is, among some in the smaller portions of the advocacy groupings, that are accusing me of stating that I wrote the militia red law for the District of Columbia. For accusing me of stealing someone else's joy. I'm not going to speak to the accusations that were made against me. They are what they are. They are in public and can never be taken back. I do want to say that I forgive those who have been caught up in the passion of the moment. But I also would like to say to you that your cause must be bigger than the one person for which you name it. Many of you are unaware of what actually happens to a bill becoming law. I know some of you all will say, hey, listen, Ken, I grew up on Schoolhouse Rock. I know how a bill becomes a law.
As your body grows bigger, your mind gets smaller. It's great to learn, 'cause knowledge is power. Your Schoolhouse Rocky, put you on the block of your favorite schoolhouse. I'm just a bill.
Whew, you sure gotta climb a lot of steps to get to this Capitol building here in Washington. Well, I wonder who that sad little scrap of paper is.
I'm just a bill. Yes, I'm only a bill. And I'm sitting here on Capitol Hill. Well, it's a long, long journey to the capital city. It's a long, long wait while I'm sitting in committee. But I know I'll be a law someday. At least I hope and pray that I will. But today I am still just a bill.
Gee, Bill, you certainly have a lot of patience and courage.
Well, I got this far. When I started, I wasn't even a bill. I was just an idea. Some folks back home decided they wanted a law passed, so they called their local congressman, and he said, "You're right, there ought to be a law." And he sat down and wrote me out and introduced me to Congress, and I became a bill. And I'll remain a bill until they decide to make me a law. I'm just a bill. Yes, I'm only a bill. And I got as far as Capitol Hill. Well, now I'm stuck in committee, and I'll sit here and wait while a few key congressmen discuss and debate whether they should let me be a law. I hope and pray that they will. But today I'm still just a bill.
Listen to those congressmen arguing. Is all that discussion and debate about you?
Yeah, I'm one of the lucky ones. Most bills never even get this far. I hope they decide to report on me favorably, otherwise I may die.
Die?
Yeah, die in committee. Oh, but it looks like I'm going to live. Now I go to the House of Representatives and they vote on me.
If they vote yes, what happens?
Then I go to the Senate and the whole thing starts all over again.
Oh, no.
Oh, yes. I'm just a bill. Yes, I'm only a bill. And if they vote for me on Capitol Hill, well, then I'm off to the White House where I'll wait in a line with a lot of other bills for the president to sign. And if he signs me, then I'll be a law. I hope and pray that he will. But today I am still just a bill.
You mean even if the whole Congress says you should be a law, the president can still say no?
Yes, that's called a veto. If the president vetoes me, I have to go back to Congress and they vote on me again, and by that time you're so
By
old.
that time, it's very unlikely that you become a law. It's not easy to become a law, is it?
No, but how I hope and pray that I will. But today I am still just a bill. He signed your bill. Now you're a law. Oh, yeah.
Yes, ladies and gentlemen, everything I learned about politics, I learned on ABC on Saturday mornings in grade school. Schoolhouse Rock is one of the most formidable programs ever on television. It taught a lot of people in simplicity what was made complex in the classroom. There is a process to a law becoming a law. In the District of Columbia, there are individuals who are running around saying that because a bill has been introduced, that as soon as the mayor takes a look at it, she's going to sign it and it will become a law. And thus, based on the aspirations that someone shall take title to a bill becoming a law, because everybody wants to be on the front of the camera. They want to be the one who was the initiator of it. They want credit. And it's okay. That's ambition. That's good. And for the persons who were involved in terms of presenting and introducing the Militia Red Law, it's not really a law, it's a bill. It's even a proposed bill at this point. But I don't want to get too far ahead for some folks. That's wonderful. Congratulations. Great work. That's what great advocacy does. It forces the hand of government to act in your regard. That's what your grievance of petition is all about. That's what your First Amendment privilege is all about. To petition. Oh, wait a minute. This is city council, right? Let me explain something in short detail because I don't want to run out of time here. There'll be those who will come behind me soon enough with their own critique, and you'll be able to follow it on whatever page that I put it. But ladies and gentlemen, I want you to understand that there is a process to a bill becoming a law in the District of Columbia. One of the problems is the concept that an idea emerges. You see, the way that it's spoken of by your DC City Council, your Human Rights DC City Council, and you can find this on my Facebook page for Open Heart Closed Case. I'm going to put that out there for you, for those who are following along at home. There is a lengthy process to a proposed or introduced bill becoming law. There, in fact, is no guarantee that a proposed or introduced bill ever becomes law. But somehow people believe that the ideas for governance come from on high, as if they are at an oracle. And once the persons on high have lifted up their hands and brought down the various bill, wrapped in parchment and written in gold, that is the moment that a black ink feathered pen is used by the mayor to sign it, and it doesn't work that way. And in fact, it's an embarrassment as well as an offense that as it's written by the DC City Council, that the ideas for governance are formulated by the actual persons in office. No, they aren't. See, that's the difference between being a one-party human rights state and being a bipartisan, multi-Republican institution. And I'm not talking party. I'm talking about thematic understandings of law. The bottom line is, it is the American people, the citizens, who observe a need and demand that their officials act in decency and order in terms of solutions to the demand via law. At least that's the way it's supposed to work. But this is how you become a superstar in a one pony state, donkey state. Literally, it takes someone from on high to bring it down. No, it's you, the American citizen. You knew that the idea needed to be done. Make it happen. And so Laws are formulated for the betterment of the lives of residents and the productiveness of businesses and organizations in the District of Columbia. That's the way the DC Council puts it. So a written document is produced, and that written document is normally allowed to be produced by the council member. However, I noticed something about council members and journalists. They have one thing in common. They like things to be done for them so that they can test those things out to see if they're going to work amongst their peers. So to leave them with the one responsibility to do a whole lot of work is a bit cumbersome, very cumbersome, and very timely. So you normally should present something in writing. That's the difference between apparently the one group that has great opposition against me personally for doing what I did. I acted as a person in a Republican constitutional federated form of government. And others acted as in a one-party human rights city who depends on others from on high to give them permission to do stuff. That's the difference between the two of us. So how is a bill born, according to these individuals? Once these ideas are developed and memorialized in writing, a council member introduces the document by filing it with the Secretary of the Council. At this point, the document becomes a bill or a proposed law and is the property of the council. So only the council can make law. Other entities may introduce a bill. The district charter allows the mayor to introduce bills before the council as well. Also, under its rules of organization, the council allows charter independent agencies to introduce bills. Both the mayor and the charter independent agencies introduce bills before the council via the chairman of the council. Yeah, that's what it says. So you all went one route and I went the other, but you're pissed off because I went the other route. Something about protocol, it's called citizenship. The bill's path. The bill is assigned to a committee, meaning that just because some council member wrote it doesn't make it a law that's going to be signed in a few days, in a few hours by a mayor. It's not going to happen that way. The bill's path. The bill is assigned to a committee. At the time a bill is introduced before the council, it is assigned to a committee of the council with expertise over the subject matter that the bill addresses. A committee is not obligated to review or consider the bill. Did you get that? Just because it's written doesn't mean it will be considered. It's nice, a nice piece of paper. Thanks for putting it. Ladies and gentlemen, I'm going to take a few moments here, take a break real quick. When we come back, because I've already gone our hours, I want to thank people at SHR Media and High Pundit Press Media, forgive me, High Point Pundit Press Media, and also Rebooting Liberty for carrying us. When we come back, this is a matter that has to be talked about. If you're going to be an advocate, know what you got to do what you got to do, and may your cause be bigger than you. You're listening to the Exceptional Conservative Show. We'll be right back right after this break. Ladies and gentlemen, I want to welcome you back to the Exceptional Conservative Show, live from the nation's capital. We certainly are not ashamed of the good news of conservatism, for it is the power of liberation, first to the Republican and then the socialist. Mrs. Biggs is watching via live stream and USTREAM. Mary Brockman is holding down the fort and the Exceptional Conservative Show services region of the chat roll. And well, yours truly, well, I'm here, preparing for one of the more important things that has to be done during the course of this show. Yes, pledging allegiance to the United States of America. Get your hand, your right hand, over your heart, and let's begin to pledge. Here we go.
Ready, begin.
All right. That's what I'm talking about, baby. That's how we start off a show. Ladies and gentlemen, want to thank you all so much for tuning in. We are awaiting the call of the magnificent one, the Lionaire Extraordinaire, the lion chaser himself, none other than Lonnie Poindexter. And hopefully he'll be calling in very shortly. We missed him last week. Got to find out what's going on this week. Okay. And there we go. We have to check behind Lonnie. Make sure he's okay. Ladies and gentlemen, we are talking about advocacy in America. You are a natural born citizen advocate. It is your role. It is why we do what we do. I hear individuals constantly talk about, if only I had the power to. Well, the First Amendment has granted a natural right to you to petition your government with your grievances. It is not up to your government to solve your problems. It is up to you to make your government use your solutions to problems. For a government to virtually be left to the demise, or at least a city to a demise, that a mayor has to walk in the middle of the streets, and a council member walk in the middle of the streets in order to abate crime, knowing full well that that is not the perfect or preferred remedy. It's a make you feel good moment. It shows that people care. And I don't know about you, but just because you care doesn't solve a problem. Now, I know that under a one-party rule, at least that which I have been grafted to understand, if any person who has been granted the authority and the influence and the power comes into your neighborhood and speaks that they care, somehow that is so revolutionary that nothing in the world will ever happen the wrong way again, and you shouldn't even prepare yourself for when those things are going to happen. It's just not going to happen. Stuff like that doesn't happen because someone said it. It is law. Well, the truth of the matter is, the reason why we produce laws is not to restrain the citizenry from doing what they're supposed to do, but actually restrain the government and those who are culprits against society from invading and destroying the good of a society, both in spirit and in truth of the law that's granted. The greatness is not in the lawgiver on earth. It is the one who has presented all universal right of humanity that is great. And it is he that we should seek out when we are crafting legislation and laws that will best defend the good and the righteous in our society. So there are those who say, Ken, you know, for some odd reason, you're trying to steal from someone the credit. Okay? The credit for making something happen. I want you to know, without a doubt, I thank my God above for coming into the hearts and souls of men and women who asked him to, that he might use that opportunity for you to advocate on something of his behalf for the betterment of you and your own. I thank God for that. I take no credit in anything that's been done. To God be the glory. And may his children be protected. But there are those who say, oh, look what you have done, Ken. You have stolen the glory of a human being. Amazing in itself. I thought the cause was about the child and not the person who's advocating for the protection of children. I think some of us are a long way away from being Mother Teresa. One battle on a field does not win one war. And in fact, the difference is knowing when you have actually arrived at the battlefield, when the ammo is live, rather than in the practice field where the ammo is soft and targeted and is not going to harm you. Advocacy is on making the cause bigger than those who even support it. I want to look at the etymology of the word advocate tonight. And I want you to understand the meaning behind that particular term. Advocacy is one whose profession is to plead cases in a court of justice. It is to call as a witness or advisor. One called to aid, a pleader, advocate. One called to aid is what the Latin advocatus means. You are the pleader for those who are defenseless. You are the advisor to those who have the power to protect the voiceless. You are the one who will stand in the shadow, that those who have been placed in the shadow might be brought out into the marvelous light. In fact, in every great superhero, the antithesis was garnering any publicity at all. The publicity that was to be garnered was to keep all others away from offending negatively or evilly the people that they protect. That was the reputation. But in all maturity, that person never walked the streets seeking the publicity. As a citizen advocate, the first thing you have to realize is that you must be willing, like the founding fathers, to do something that a lot of people refuse to. Mutually pledge to each other our lives, our fortunes, and our sacred honor. Now, the money is never really sacred. In the lives that we live, we are far from sacred. All of us are in need of the Holy Spirit. But it is the honor that we should protect. I want you to know that before my daughter's death, I was one of the most listened to conservative talk show hosts in the country. After my daughter's death, I'm still one of the most listened to conservative talk show hosts in the country. Popularity is not my vein. Even before this, my wife and I never went out trying to proclaim anything or garner any attentions. What I do is what I do. It is who I am. That anyone listens, to God be the glory. I didn't become more popular or less popular. I am who I am. However, as I stated on my radio show the night after my daughter died, the worst thing that could have happened to a lot of people in this city is that my daughter was killed. Because now the attentions could be put on this selfish nature of the criminal who does not care about your law, who does not care about your cause, who does not care about your advocacy, who does not care that you've been working every single day of your life, hoping that someone would listen. They care nothing about any of that. And even after this is passed, they will care very little about it as well. Evil pursues where light does not shine. Because you handle a candlestick in one direction does not mean that evil will particularly decide not to come in a different one. I have nothing to steal from anyone. I have only everything to gain. In fact, to know the truth of the matter, my wife wondered why we would even spend any more time in Washington, D.C., and certainly advocating. The duress, the pain, the grief, the suffering. Sacred lives, sacred fortune, sacred honor. Amazingly, if anyone asks you today how much money they have spent on an open heart closed case, they can only tell you nothing. Because the truth of the matter is, no one else has spent a single dime on open heart closed case. Your humble host and his lovely wife have done all of that with their own sacred fortune. No, we didn't go out and buy anything that we did not need to show off anything else. My wife and I prayed on the couch after we got the news that we would become ministers to the world and provide for support for those who grieve. God has held us to that, and he's provided everything that we needed. If you ask for what life, well, some people say, well, you're not a real minister, Ken. You don't have a doctorate from a seminary up on the wall, so you can't really be a spiritual leader. Oh, really? So that's what Matthew 18:20 told you, huh? Okay. And then some of you say, well, I'm not black enough in your community to advocate. Okay, I understand that. I haven't been as long in the community, although I was born and raised before there was a Ward 7 and Ward 8. But mind you, see, a lot of the grief and suffering that we received is from people who said that they love us the most and want to help us. Almost to the point where you get to the second of saying, you know what, don't help. But I'm okay with that. I'm not going to blast you the way you blast me, because I learned something from God. When I keep my mind stayed on him, I can conquer the world. That's what a citizen advocate has to understand. First and foremost, I spent the past hour talking with you about being a citizen advocate. You have to be prayed up. You have to be willing to surrender your life. And my wife has already surrendered her daughter, her father, her husband surrendered her daughter. And even with some in the quote unquote community, that's not good enough. You know, it's good enough to whore around when you need a press conference, but it certainly isn't good enough to make you a legitimate leader. Oh, everyone wants to hold on to the veil because it's a great story. An innocent shot on the streets who was just trying to get home. Oh, I think we've seen that story run again recently too. After I've heard everyone else in DC say they were going to do whatever they can to stop it from ever happening again. It only took 6 months for it to happen again. Less than 6 months, I'm sorry. You see, to be a citizen advocate, you have to first be willing to take on the heavy artillery from those that say that they love you the most and seek your guidance. And I must say that after I've put on all my wares, I've got my shield of faith and my helmet of salvation, and I've buckled myself with the truth. And after I've gotten myself completely prepared, if that's the best artillery you got, I suggest you go back and get some more ammo, some real good stuff, because that's not going to slow me down from being an advocate, not for being famous, not for having my name in the news. But I don't want to hear about Abdullah or Jacqueline or Jay or Bill or Susan. I don't want them to replace the name of Alicia Rudd. I think the cause should be so big that no one ever knew who I was. But all they knew was it was so big, it stopped anyone else from taking an 8-year-old kid and kidnapping them and then taking them down to Miami to be tricked out by gang members to later show up on the streets of New York as a prostitute and sexual slavery, part of human trafficking. I don't want that to happen for anybody. I don't want it, and I've heard this from someone, why are you working on the Alicia Rudd thing? Why don't you work on a bill for murder? Well, I believe first and foremost, God did a very good job of that. He made it very plain, do not murder. But even worse than his best, you vote for people who want to pay criminals not to commit crimes. And then you want me to work on with a group of people who pay people not to commit crimes, who then later on go out and commit them. You want me to work with them on a murder bill? Do you really think so? I tell you what, why don't you change where you are in your thinking, and then you write the bill, and then I will support you. Oh, well, wait a minute. Well, that would be advocacy. Not waiting for Starship, but waiting to bring light to people who have been placed in the shadows, in the darkness for too long. Making common sense in an unreasonable industry. In this particular city, it is very unreasonable to believe that individuals can protect themselves, empowered by the Constitution, can love one another, can defend their city, love their children where the state doesn't have to be required to, and allow people to live in peace. See, the problem is really that the industry doesn't want that to happen. Oh, I know. The industry doesn't like bad PR, but certainly the industry doesn't mind it happening. Because if they did, they would make it available for you to protect yourself against any Tom, Dick, and Harry that would try to pull a stunt, like kill a 6-year-old or a 7-year-old, or assassinate a 9-year-old. You see, the system is set up in such a fashion where you have to constantly go to those who have power and influence and access and ask them, beg them, plead with them to do something for you that you can do for yourself. But you refuse to do it because you believe that by your ideological standards, that it'll be done for you well. So how do we market common sense in an unreasonable industry? I must tell you that it's very difficult to do. It's very difficult to do because there are individuals whose whole life is tied up into just one thing. I don't have enough mind power or energy to focus on just one thing. I have a tendency to become bored very easily. But with solutions, I don't have a problem focusing on those. And I'd rather that my solutions exceed me than I succeed my solutions. I just don't believe that they would actually work out too well otherwise. So, citizen advocate, first and foremost, are you willing to give up your life? Are you willing to give up everything that your life entails to plead for those who remain in the shadows? If you are, then that's what I call sacred life. Fortunes. Are you willing to give up a great deal of your wealth to first find your daughter, at least her killers, and then once you found hers, to help other people find theirs, to keep people out of sex slavery? Because as a conservative, I don't believe in a religion that creates it in the first place. Are you willing to give up everything that someone who's been missing for a number of years can be found and brought home? My wife and I, we made that commitment. We don't have a problem telling you that we did. But we're not looking for a parade either. Lastly, are you willing to give up your sacred honor? I want you to understand something about honor. It is not something that you can demand, but it is something shown to you whenever you step into a room. David wasn't just talked about behind his back. David was talked about in front of his face. And then there were those who were part of his allegiance, his army, who said, you know what? We ought to slay this brother for even, after all David's done for our nation, for even mouthing off what he just mouthed. And then David said to them, no, let him talk. It might be for my good. Honor is something shown. It's not shown because you deserve it. It's shown because you've lived it. Your reputation steps into a room before you. Now, let me just say that I am very proud that council member Ruby May presented and introduced and got co-sponsorship of the Relisharud Law Advocacy Group's proposed bill. I laud you. I know how tough it is to get anything past 13 people. That's an on to find a sponsor. And as you know that I respect your authority and your office, you know that I am not going to allow anything to come past as if I'm blind, deaf, and dumb. Because as an advocate, I want the very best offer on the table at all times, not one that's amenable to the camaraderie of a many. I want you to be able to stand up with just a few on the principle. That's why the proposed bill that was written by Charlotte Brookins Hudson at the University of District of Columbia Law School, I think as an advocate, step forward. I presented that particular bill. Now, for those who are wondering whether it's been considered or not, understand that there are variant levels of a bill going through the City Council. And while a bill may be proposed, it may be altered along the way. When we come back from our break, I want to explain to you all that honor for a person does not exceed the honor you have for the office or the process by which a bill gets produced and passed. Oh, it's a whole lot of folk got to be involved before one bill gets passed. Wake up. The coffee's cooking. We'll be right back.
Right swipe. Gonna be a right swipe. This man has shaved his chest hair into a heart. Oh, you stole mine. Right swipe.
Right swipe. Right swipe. That kind of looks like my sister. It does. But I know she's not.
He's cuddling a kitten. Oh my God, I want to eat their faces.
She's hot.
Oh, wait a minute. Oh.
That's a lollipop. Oh, that is not a lollipop. Left swipe.
Left swipe.
With your shirt off, flexing. You're buff, but you puff, hashtag perplexing. Yeah, you work out, you're in shape, okay. I like the six-pack abs, not the six-pack a day.
Came across a photo of this green-eyed hottie, whole nine, pretty face, tight waist, nice body. But I just couldn't overlook one small fact. She smokes like an old man at a racetrack.
This must be some kind of job. If you think you're my type, and I'm not type. If you're gone in a cloud of smoke, I just left swipe. Bye-bye. I just left swipe.
Left swipe that.
You gotta swipe it left.
Yeah.
You gotta swipe it
Left
left.
swipe that.
You gotta swipe it left. This is stuff I don't like, so I gotta
Left swipe that.
Mr. World Traveler, your trips look expensive. Sitting on a mountaintop looking all pensive. I was about to ask, how's the air up there? But based on this pic, I guess you don't really care.
Lots of chicks in the pic, not sure which one's you. Them cigarettes are taking y'all from 10s to 2s. And one thing's true about your whole crew, none of you cigarella's gonna be my boo.
Smoking with a tiger?
Left swipe that.
While you're on a hang glider?
Left swipe that.
Smoking while acting healthy.
Left swipe that.
Smoking all stealthy?
Left swipe that.
Smoking with a duck face.
Left swipe that.
At a monster truck race?
Left swipe that.
Smoking at the prom.
Left swipe that.
Even in a photo bomb?
He don't care. Left swipe that.
You gotta swipe it left.
Yeah.
You gotta swipe it
Left
left.
swipe that.
You gotta swipe it left. This is stuff I don't like, so I gotta
Left swipe that.
You gotta swipe it left.
Yeah. Hashtag.
I'll never remember you.
Hi, my name is Christopher Arnold. I'm the executive chef of Infused Restaurant, and today I'm gonna walk you through some of the meals that we prepare here. We're making a pizza. We use fresh Italian sausage that we cook here and slice it up. Our pizza dough is in-house made. Our pizza sauce is in-house made. So everything is fresh ingredients. This is our Thai curry chicken. The sauce is made with coconut milk and the Thai red curry. It is juicy chicken thighs as well as some mixed vegetables, served with jasmine rice and pita bread. So now we're going to prepare our famous blackened tilapia and grits, our fish and grits on the menu. Fish is ready and our meal will be complete. Let me tell you about our infused heat burger. When we kick the spice up just a little bit with our infused sauce. We start off with 80-20 USDA round chuck ham patty burgers, nice half a pound of burger, and we're gonna grill it to perfection. After I flip the burger, we add the sauce and let it cook on into the meat just a little bit. We're gonna add a little bit of pepper jack cheese to this burger to spice it up a bit.
Ladies and gentlemen, order it up. Do it now. Inspire, indulge, infuse. Infuse Restaurant is located at 6339 Allentown Road, Temple Hills, Maryland 20748. 301-449-9000. Ladies and gentlemen, infuse.com. We are entering the final quarter of our program as we broadcast live from the nation's capital. And I want to thank all the listeners across the wide swath of opportunities for listening. SHR Media, Rebooting Liberty, High Plains, Pundit Talk Media. Dan, I hope I'm getting this right. I hope I'm getting it right. Ag was here, boy. He would have enjoyed those last two. Smoke Time and getting your bacon burger. Double bacon, double burger. Loving it, loving it. Ladies and gentlemen, I want you all to become citizen advocates. I want you to stop waiting for people to do stuff for you that you can do for yourself. How do you know that you can be a champion citizen advocate? We only got about 20 minutes, and so let me explain to you in these 20 minutes how we know it. Now, a gentleman named Ari Winsweek of Zimmerman's, he was a co-founding partner of it, wrote this back in 2006. And I really think that you might want to take some. Still no Lonnie. Unfortunately, no Lonnie tonight. I got to check on Lonnie this week, find out what's going on. In fact, let me do that. Okay, yeah, okay, done. All right. Need to find out what's going on with Lonnie. Okay. Or maybe it's just time now for another. Nope. There are 15 characteristics of effective champions he put out. So if you're going to be an advocate, don't advocate with the expectation that you're going to be on the losing side. Advocate as if you're going to be the winner. Plead as if you're going to win your case, no matter what court of justice it is. Public justice, court justice, whatever it is. The number one thing every champion has is a vision. Another name for visioning, according to Ari, is positive futuring, or the phrase from Stephen Covey, beginning with the end in mind. The great thing about beginning with the end in mind, and this is for people with you got to have a big picture, because people are going to get so bored with your Polaroid snapshot after a while. There has to be a shot from the moon looking at the earth kind of mentality with your vision. You got to be able to inspire people. You have to lead them. And you have to involve everyone. That everyone can be a part of this great big picture that's happening. You can give an answer, but answers come from Polaroid snapshots. You can give a solution, and a solution requires every part of the culture to be involved. Number two part of that is it has to be strategically sound. There has to be a sense of reality to it. Not just writing something down and saying, okay, well, that'll do. When that'll do only reveals that there are more issues that need to be dealt with and satisfied with solutions and not answers. Satisfied with principles and not the status quo. Satisfied with people making a considerable investment of themselves, their honor, and their fortune, rather than a collective, somebody will do it for me mentality. So it has to be strategically sound. Has to be documented. People need to see in writing your big picture, what it looks like, how it accomplishes its end. And then it has to be communicated. The power behind a champion is that he's willing to wait until midnight to speak before those who have influence, not for their allegiance, but to tell them that you're coming and you're not afraid. You see, it's very easy to be mediocre and to do something just to get it done. But that's what the ordinary person's looking for. You got to be extraordinary. You have to be exceptional. Because only exceptional people are 2 and 3. Well, actually, the mediocre can be sometimes 2 or 3 chess moves ahead. Only the brilliant see the end of the chess match before they move one pawn. No, you don't need a PhD, but you need to be able to communicate that you can't solve 4,000 unresolved homicides over the past 30 years in the District of Columbia, where cold cases effectually are after 4 years, no one solved your crime. They go into a little file folder or whatever and are considered annually if they're worthy of being brought back out. All 4,000 of those cases can't be reviewed annually by 7 people. Yes, there are only 7. I used to say 8, but we received news over the weekend, for all you call sitters, that there are only 7, not 8, 7 cold case detectives in the entire city looking at 4,000 old cases. You see, your picture's got to be broader and bigger. It can't just be, this is my dream, this is my reality, I'm living off of this one. You got a whole problem to solve. E equals MC squared is a whole lot bigger on the board than just E equals MC squared. Solutions got to be communicated. Number 2, you have to be passionate about your cause. Passionate, not crazy. Passionate, not crazy. Passionate is, I'm willing to stand up to anybody and tell them the reason why I believe in what I do, why I do what I do, who I'm going to do what to, and be able to choose the best arsenal I have to make it happen. I'm not going to burn bridges or make personal ad hominem attacks against people who actually are on your side. What I will do is show my passion, and when I am misunderstanding, I'll go to the one who I misunderstood. You see, let me explain something to you. Your reputation makes a big difference. You know, eventually the 24-hour cycle in which you put down other people who are on your side, that will pass. But what won't pass is what you did to your biggest champion. If you would do that to your biggest champion, what would you do to anyone else? Your reputation is all that you have. Do people fear you when they walk into the room? Or do they laugh at you because you walked into the room? Do they take you seriously? It's my question. If you need a parade in order to be taken seriously, then maybe you're not passionate. You have to be an active energizer. When people are tired and think that it's not going to happen, you have to show them the way that it will happen. You have to encourage them. Ministers, 7, 8 months ago, didn't think that they would even have a judiciary hearing because somebody said they were going to have it. And it happened. Now getting larger audiences than ever, coming and listening at the faith leaders' breakfasts because they're taking the information and now getting it out into the streets and saying, hey, wait a minute. I don't necessarily need him to lead me, but he encouraged me to lead other people. Kind of like being a point guard. You got to be energized. I'm excited about this every single day because I know it's a winning case. I'm not going to be angelic. I hope you don't think I will. I'm a lion. Don't be feeding me tuna and thinking I won't bite your hand. I will. I don't do it for personal. I do it to make things better. What do? You also got to hustle. There are not any people waiting on the sidelines for a bad idea. Everybody's looking for the next big thing. They want the next big idea. They want the solution. They want to be a winner in the face of other people. You're the coach. Lead. Stop waiting for people to hold your hand and lift your chair and carry you through the city as if you are the queen or the king. You have a cause that's bigger than you. And you must energize everyone around you to know that if I fall, there will be 20 others that will follow me, will be willing to do what's necessary for my children to be protected and your children to be defended. You got to hustle. That means shaking hands. That means showing up at meetings. That means showing up at press conferences. That means showing up. And you got to have stamina and tenacity. I slept like a baby. To be honest, excuse me. Hold 1 second. Here we go. That's so much better. I slept like a baby after I left church and had dinner with my wife on Sunday. I came back home. I sat in my chair. I was ready to do a 9 o'clock radio program. Forgive me, Dan. I wasn't there for you. I apologize. But after working tirelessly to make certain that people not only knew that a bill had been produced, but a better bill could be sought, and then having to deal with the drudgery of the crap that was coming back from people who say they're on your side. You know what? I needed a break. I need some rest. I got some very good rest. Thank y'all for making me get some good rest. Because normally I'm up about 20 hours of a night doing stuff for the quote unquote cause. Not just here in DC, but around the country. I talk about the cause a lot. Almost to the point, in fact, that's number 6 for the Zing Man. Talk about the cause a lot. Not only do I talk about it a lot, but I blog about it a lot. I have a website that's about it a lot. 24 hours a day, you can go to a spot where I'm talking about it. Why? Effective champions talk positively and affirmatively about their work with amazing regularity. I believe I'm going to be successful. I'm believing that I'm going to convince people to make some changes. I'm not going to be the one who makes the change, but I can influence the change agent. Use resources is number 7, since we're going in that direction. Successful champions look at their project and they look at the individuals who are going to be necessary to make it happen. They seek out the resources, and you know what? They give up their own resources to make it happen. Websites. They go to classes. I will be going on Thursday to an event for missing persons. I'm not going to tell you exactly where it is because I don't want any attention from my quote unquote advocate friends. Y'all stay where y'all are. Y'all doing a good job, whatever you do. You keep doing what you're doing. But for those who want to be advocates, use every resource. Everything is a resource. Everybody is a resource. Even those who work against you are a resource. Use them to the fullest of your ability. Stay positive. That's all I ever do. People say, hey, Ken, every time I see you, you're smiling. Because I'm positive. I believe it. If I didn't believe it, I wouldn't say it. Be positive around people. Don't just keep talking about the things that are going wrong. Talk about the solutions and how those solutions are coming forward. Fight through all of the naysaying is number 9. Every project will have critics. Get used to it. If you don't have a critic, you don't have a real project. If you don't have somebody telling you that you're a snake, that you are stealing people's dreams, that you are doing shenanigans, I'm glad you learned how to spell it. If you don't have people doing that, then your cause is not even worth talking about. You got to have people who are so against you on both sides, your friend and your foes, that people can't say, oh, but that makes sense. It's common sense. Marketing common sense in an unreasonable industry, ladies and gentlemen, it's going to require you being more positive than the people around you. Because guess what? After it's done, you can say, hey, listen, I'm moving on to the next big thing. And they'll be excited about the fact that they got that thing done. Overcome inertia. Now, Zigman writes, and I call him Zigman, but I'm going to see if I can get him on the show. This is about continuing at full steam when the rest of the world seems apathetic and uninspired. When it feels like the champion is the only one who cares about the project. While most people are usually willing to stand pat with the status quo, effective champions keep things moving. Keep moving. Keep moving. Now, remember when they thought I was crazy and said I wasn't effectual, that I wasn't focused? Mary will tell you, when I started out, thank you. It's good to know Dan had a full house. That's good news. That's very good news. They were saying, hey, Ken, you're doing something in St. Louis. You're doing something in Baltimore. Hey, man, you're not focused. You need to be focused. You need to be in one place with one idea. That's the way you're supposed to be. No, you can't. When someone is bored here, you got to move someplace where someone's excited. Someone's excited there because they're working bipartisan in Baltimore to do a Relisha Rudd type bill. That wouldn't have happened if there wasn't inertia here. So overcome it. Go where it needs to happen and make it happen. Number 11, take responsibility for results. In the end, I take responsibility for the law that I present. Now, I want to read to you something I put out there because a lot of... Lonnie's in Tupelo, Mississippi. We'll work it out for tomorrow night. Let's see. We're going to see if we can get Lonnie on as my guest for tomorrow night. He just got into Tupelo. I don't want him coming on the air. Take responsibility for the results. Thank you, Lonnie. God bless you, child. Well, not child, but you know, he's my friend. God bless him. Now, my wife saw my face in church on Sunday when I received the onslaught of attacks from the advocates, people who say they're on your side. You know what? Some of y'all just line up on the other side of the football field so I can knock you over when I run over you. So I sent out a message to Council Member LaRuby Mayer and another person who was part of an advocacy group who was making some pertinent attacks. At least they thought so. I said, on behalf of the children of Washington, D.C., the Open Heart Closed Case family extends its most sincere appreciation to Council Member LaRuby May for introducing a bill crafted by a certain group, advocacy group, for consideration as the official Relisha Rudd law. We appreciate the devotion of that certain party, because I'm not going to talk about them, another person, not going to talk about him, and other supporters for making that day come to Washington, D.C. Open Heart Closed Case takes no credit, responsibility, license, or demand of the crafted law as presented. We are proud of your work, whoever you are, and wish you and other advocacy groups much success in passage of the law by the end of the year. God bless you and missing persons around the world like Relisha Rudd. You see, I'm not going to take advantage, and people got excited about that. Oh, wow. Wow. They were excited about that. She's taking credit for the bill that's been written. I'm taking credit for the bill that I've been written, that was written on our behalf by the wonderful Professor Charlotte Brookins Hudson from the Legislation Clinic at UDC David A. Clark Law School. And we gave her an award in Thanksgiving for her efforts. Now, I take credit for nothing. God did it. But I do take responsibility for the law. And because I'm responsible, I'm going to find as many people that can support it as it possibly can be, because I believe that the law should be very stringent, very strong, and have teeth in it. Number 12, you get organized. It's not just good enough that you got to that finish line. The battle is not yours, it's the Lord. So you have to fight a godly type battle. You have to go all the way to the end. To the end of making certain that there is physical accountability for the actions that you propose. That people are hired to do what you ask them to do. That people are held accountable in the manner you expected them to be. Pay attention to the details. It's very important. You can't not just be at 30,000 feet. You have to come back down to street level 2. The street level stuff, sometimes you can do quietly, in secret, because your honor and your reputation precede you. Not what people talk about or say about you in the dark, but what you do in the marvelous light precedes you. Don't worry about a thing. So pay attention to the details. Make certain that you're enthusiastic. Make certain that people believe that after you've spoken with them, that this is something that can get done. And they're important enough to make it happen. Number 14, let others know they are noticed. Let other champions know, hey, you're doing a great job. You're doing wonderful. It's okay. Because in the end, nobody's going to remember their name or yours. What they will remember is how they felt by being in your presence and the impact of your cause on society. It has to be big enough to touch every institution in your culture. And then lastly, get results. For some, it's good enough to have made it onto the stage. For some, it's good enough to get an award. But for others, if what you've done has changed the institution and the society that you live, you've gotten real results. You should be proud. Now that you've done all that, move on to the next big thing. A friend once told me, can be brave always. I promise you, I always will. From those of us here in Washington, D.C., we want to tell you, we will never die cowardly. Always remember, God blessed America. It is time now for America to bless God. Good night, and God bless. We'll see you tomorrow night, 9 p.m. Eastern Time.